it's Nikki from Schneider Optics here at Cine Gear 2017. Instead of our regular spiel with all of our new products, which you saw during the NAB reel just a few weeks ago, we have a very special guest who's going to talk to you about the importance of optical filters when you're shooting. And I'd like to introduce to you the Vice President of Motion Picture Television Filters for Schneider Optics, Mr. Ira Tiffen.
Hi, as you know, I'm Ira Tiffen, and I'm going to discuss something that's been near and dear to me for a long time. In particular, it has to do with the fact that in all the years I've been doing this, it still is very pleasantly amazing to me that filters, my specialty, are still relevant to the industry. What I believe we need to look at is when we look towards the future in technology, as long as we are still using a box, which we call a camera, to capture light and turn it into images that we share with others, that we have a lens in front of it to take the light and bring it in to be recorded, that we will still have a need to manipulate and control and manage that light and its quality using optical filters either in front of or behind the lens. People consider, should you use filters today? There's so much you can do in post. That is true up to a point. Yes, there's a lot you can do in post, but what I'd like to put forward is the concept that effects, things that you do to create greater emotional content, to fix technical problems, are things that are best done in camera, in original production, so that you have the ability to use the real world and its infinite dynamic range as your source material. Because once you've recorded the original image onto some other format, you are then limited to whatever the dynamic range is. And no matter what we have today or tomorrow or are likely to have in the near future, it pales in comparison, literally, with the dynamic range of the real world. There's several other reasons to use optical filters, but I'd like to address one main one before I discuss those that has to do with why I believe many people decide not to do it. I don't know a single cameraman who's had the good fortune and the opportunity to have had the range of filters to play with over the years that I have, and who has also had the ability to create them, to understand what they do, how they do what they do, and to also define what they do. And in doing so, being able to explain that to customers to whom understanding that is of most importance. So I have this unique ability, because of that, to understand things that almost no other cameraman has had the chance to play with, to experience, to find out on their own. An almost unlimited range of filters for experimentation. So the lack of that isn't your fault. There's just not been an easy way for us to make that easy for you. Although I've considered it, and I think there are ways of potentially making that yet happen. So it's not something that you have to accept. What I suggest is understand that because there's so many different filters, doesn't mean you have to understand all of them or many of them. Find something that applies in a single instance that you can use. One filter, pick a grade, pick a weaker than normal grade to start with, just to see what it does, learn what it does, and try it out. Gain some experience. There's nothing like hands-on experience. And the more you do that, the more likely you will be to look forward to new opportunities, to do the same thing with a different filter, or the same filter in another circumstance, and you will begin to learn what you need to know. Now, why is it important to do this? Well, I learned many years ago that it was true in the 1930s for newsreel cameramen that what filters they had in their, what they called their little black box, gave them a competitive advantage. If you had a yellow-green filter that turned the sky blue in a black and white image and turned the clouds a brilliant dramatic white, and the guy shooting the same activity next to you didn't know about that and didn't get that result, well, you were the one that was going to be hired next time. So that black box of filters has never been more important than today. Because there aren't as many cameramen who had grown up with film, who learned about filters today as there were then, it's even more important that if you're looking for a way to get a leg up on your competition, understanding filters and being able to use them and get the most out of the image because of that is your best way to say, yes, I am somebody other than the rest. Apart from that, it has obvious advantages in saving you time, money in post-production, but there are some things you cannot do in post-production. And what I suggest is, when you understand filters enough to start using them, do what you can in production with them, create the effect initially using filters optically in the camera, and then tweak it, fine-tune it. Do the adjustments, which is what digital imaging control is famous for, in post. Combining the best of both worlds is the best way to deal with it. So I think I've covered enough to hopefully make this of some value, and I do appreciate your listening. And if you'd like to keep in touch with us, being on our website at SchneiderOptics.com would be a welcome way of doing that. Thank you again.